Unscripted.
Unshackled.
Uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for mature audiences only.
It's Miguel Fuller.
Holly O'Connor.
And Scotty the Body.
It's the Miguel and Holly Uncensored podcast.
Only on Hot 101.5.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. It's Friday.
So love it.
Well, I mean, it's Friday for us. I don't know when you're listening.
Yeah,
It could be 2 years from now. Oh, that's weird.
right. And what it could be.
Mhm.
Some people have gone way back. And
Oh, I
listened.
know.
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed how
Think about it like that, but it's weird.
Jacob 2 times just called Scott a loser.
Yeah, sure did.
I don't know what I haven't done anything wrong to him, but yet he's coming for me now. And it could be like a brotherly thing, like we're brothers, or it could be like, yo, bleep you,
Mhm.
bleep bleep, and I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, hold up, I didn't do nothing wrong. Don't come for me.
I don't know. I feel like
I get mixed vibes. I really do. I'm like, okay, like are we
I
just joking? We're like, haha, like I'm just joshing with my bestie, or do you actually hate me?
I don't. Honestly, I'm not sure. I sometimes don't always follow the thought pattern of Jacob.
I think that he enjoys, because Scott, you like me have a very easy personality to make fun of.
Oh yeah.
And that's something I learned early in my radio career, that's why people love when I lose stuff, because apparently I've been told
Lose stuff.
Hey, you're a bad loser.
that I
Oh.
do consequences well.
Well,
Because
not-
the reactions are always because people like to see me lose, or they like to see me get angry
that's
because
what
it's
it is.
entertaining.
That's what it is.
You are funny to get
When
angry.
I thought when you said lose stuff, I thought you meant lose your shit.
Oh, no.
Because we've actually had one of our multiple bosses over the past however longs
Mhm.
say that it is really entertaining when you lose your shit. And
Yeah.
he's not wrong. Like it
Which,
is
as a human being, that's not the greatest thing to hear. It's like, oh my God, when you lose your shit, it's so funny. I'm like, no, it's not. I mean business.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
you can tell the difference though. Like if you actually lost your shit in like a serious manner, I would be like,
That's not a Miguel I want to mess
damn.
with.
I'm like, I'm not gonna say anything. But then like a lot of times you lose your metaphorical shit and that is the sweet spot. Like if you are on a soapbox or if you
Oh,
are
Lord.
hyperbolically mad about something,
Right.
there's nothing better.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad.
You're welcome. You do mad well. Maybe Scott does too.
We got a message from Jen who
Oh.
wrote in. She said, hello, Miguel, Holly, and Scotty.
Hey,
I have thought of writing to you guys so many times and never do. I listen to every podcast and love you guys. Holly, you specifically.
what me? No one ever
Nice.
said me. Well, okay, a couple of people, but not many.
Holly, I wish we were friends.
Oh.
It is insane at how similar our paths are.
Mm.
I myself am in therapy learning about myself, how to set boundaries, how to have healthy disagreements with my husband.
So tough.
When you say I'm 39 and just figuring myself out, I say, girl, you and I both. Having you tell your story has made me feel more comfortable in my journey. Just knowing someone else understands this. I could go on for hours with you on some topics, especially about toxic mother-daughter relationships, although mine is 3.5 hours away. This is just a start. I am curious you were going to do the She Is podcast. Is that still in the works? I love the people you bring to the show. Soul worker Stacy. I had a situation come up in life that would change several lives. I was not sure if I should pursue it or not. After hearing Stacy, I had set up an appointment right away. Sometimes I'm not sure. Others, she was just spot on. I actually need to set up another call with her. I also appreciate the crypto podcast last week.
I'm glad.
I'm also trying to figure this all out. Miguel, I loved your engagement video. We look rich is the best line ever. And Scotty, this has stayed on my mind. There was a podcast in which you had commented when you posted the first picture with your girlfriend. You were annoyed that everyone kept saying he has a type. I had to laugh because that was my thought. But I say the same thing about my husband. When my husband and I started dating, I came across a picture of his ex. And my first thought was, well, he has a type. You like what you like. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank y'all for the podcast. I love you guys. Jen L.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you. First of all, I totally forgot that did we decide that She Is going to be a thing that happens?
Yeah,
No.
that was supposed to be your name of your podcast.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So it's
A
not.
lot of
it's
life
not
has
happening.
happened. So crazy. So much
A lot of
stuff
life has
happens
happened.
between these couple months.
I know. I don't. If I ever do a podcast, it's not going to be She Is. That doesn't resonate anymore. So it would be like good people who do bad things, or like, I don't know. It'd be something like a mental health journey one, but I don't know yet. It's kind of on the back burner. There's a lot going on right now, but I appreciate that she wrote so much because it feels like when you're on some type of mental health journey, it feels like you're the only one that's like going through all these random things, right?
Mhm.
But that's the good part about sharing. You realize other people go through this stuff too.
Yep.
So I love that. And I do think people have a type, by the way. I do.
It's just so. I think the comment that like why that bothers me is because like my ex was the only person that ever like looked like that. Like as in, like, okay, for example, like any other girl I dated before was like a blonde, like like white girl.
Well, that was your type then. Maybe get into type.
But it's not like I'm searching out for that or like even naturally like that's I always go for that. It's like no.
Yeah,
like,
no, you're a
even in my
personality person.
single phase, it was like I was talking to a couple. They just all ranges of everybody. And I was like, okay, it's not one specific type. It is coincidental that it's like, oh wow, okay, yeah, I can see why people would say that from the outside view. It's just kind of funny. And I've said it in other conversations before. It's like when me and my girlfriend now started talking, like it wasn't even a thought. I never thought like, oh, I love that she has dark hair and nice skin. It just wasn't a thought. I was like, dang, I really get along with this girl. I really love hanging out with her.
Understood.
Yeah. So it's like, again, it's fine. I also just didn't want, when that reveal happened to be like, that's the only thing we're focusing on. That's the only, like, you know what? Like the past is there. Don't regret anything. Happy for it. But I wanted to take this step and move on. Like this is the person in my life that I want to celebrate. I don't want everyone, taking that and comparing it to my past thing.
I know. And you feel protective about your significant other.
Yeah.
And that's what's hard about having them on social media. Our career makes it different anyway. But even if you weren't in a career like this, it's tough because you love your person and you want to try to convey that to any friends and followers you might have
friends.
on the socials,
All your friends.
the friends and family.
Well, I wanted to make sure that she took it in stride too, and she did. I think my biggest worry, and luckily we've definitely been better at just talking about things, and I get a better understanding of what's going to get her upset and what's not, and we just talk things through. But in the beginning, it's like, whoa, I do not want you getting upset over this stuff. Like, I don't want you getting down like a rabbit hole or getting down in a dark zone because of these things.
Yeah.
And like, it didn't. And I'm learning that. I'm like, okay, wait, no, these things won't bother her that much, and we can talk about it and be okay. But in the beginning, I was like, oh, crap. Like, no, like I don't want to put this in a negative light because it is hard. It's hard to step into this role and have your life now put in a little bit of a spotlight, a little bit, not a big spotlight, like a little one, a little more than what you're used to. And you see a lot of people, and she's gotten a lot better about it. But like, sometimes there's a comment here and there. It's a little offhand that you're like, what the hell did you just say? Like, and then you have to remind yourself, it's like, wait, sometimes people just don't even think you're a real person. And so they're going to say whatever the hell they think in that first moment. And then it's like, don't take it personally. Like, it's not actually you.
Yeah.
It's
Because they don't know you.
They don't know you. So
And people just like to just say whatever the hell's on their mind on social media nowadays.
yes. Yeah. And I hear that a lot now too. It's like where it's like celebrities sometimes will message back to people that like comment really, really rude things like, hey, like,
Do you realize that I'm a human
exactly.
being?
And a lot of them will reply back and be like, oh, I didn't think you would actually reply. Okay.
Or like, I didn't think you'd see this.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, we gotta like read our messages out loud before we send them to be like, how does that sound going off the tongue when I say it to their face?
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. So anyway, with that comment, like, it's all good. Like, it didn't like get me pissed. I was like, dang it though. Like, everyone started doing it. But yeah, it's fine.
We good.
I always find it interesting because I know that like when we interview celebrities and you ask them a question about like their handlers will be like, don't ask Selena Gomez about Justin Bieber, back in the day or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, but what you want to put out really may not be the most interesting thing. So like in your mind, Scott, you were like, oh, here's this new picture of my new girlfriend. I'm so excited. But like, obviously when you just because no one knows what your new girlfriend, her personality or anything.
Right.
And so
Well, that's not what photos are designed to do.
Right. The only thing they're going based off of is that's what she looks like. But it's just so funny as humans how we kind of want to like do the bait and switch where you're like, it's not about that. It's not about that. But like clearly as the casual, like, Susan from Pinellas Park,
Absolutely.
who like, I know nothing about this new girl you're dating. And you're like, oh, well, that just looks like his past girlfriend. And like, literally that's the only thought you have. But then we, as the person on the other side, you read it and you're like, ah!
Well, I guess it's
How
like
dare you!
when you think about the phrase, I don't know. To me, it just feels weird. It's like, oh, that looks like your ex, or oh, you have a
Like,
type.
you
Instead
just
of like,
think
you
to
can
yourself-
take that same message and be like, oh, she's really pretty. Like I'll be like, oh, thank you. Like I agree.
Right.
You
But
know?
but people don't have any
I know. And again, that's
Right.
why I said
And
like,
they
I
don't
wasn't
think of-
pissed at all.
they don't think about it as they are saying it and she would hear it.
Yeah,
Like
it's two
if they
different
met
forms
the
of
two of you in
communication.
public, there's no way. And this is what I'm saying. Like people don't think that social media is like real life, even though it is.
Right.
So like if they saw the two of you at Busch Gardens this past weekend, Susan in Pinellas Park, I would be willing to bet money that I'm not gonna say no one, but like 99% of Susans in Pinellas Parks would not be like, oh my God, are you Scotty? Is this your girlfriend? Susan would not be like, wow, you look a lot like his old girlfriend. Like,
No, but
because-
you know what they would do is that they would see Holly and I there. And then when we'd be getting a picture together, they'd scoot down to one of the two of us and be like, wow, his girlfriend really looks like his
Maybe.
ex-girlfriend. Because I've had people at the gay brunch we did in June. I had a couple
Yes.
people say that to me off to
Yes.
the side.
oh,
And so people
And
do say it.
they do say it, but I was going to say there is a 1% of population who literally have never been told to be polite
Right.
and they
That's
will
true.
just say it.
Right.
Yeah, it's
right.
all good. It's all good in my hood.
Well, I think that I'd have to do this when I read comments, when we're doing, because the three of us try to go and respond to all of the comments on Facebook and Instagram. And if something is a little more critical, I try to keep in mind that this person was probably sitting at a red light. They were
Mhm.
probably on the toilet scrolling. They wrote a comment and then literally went on with the rest of their day
Yeah.
and didn't give any two other shits about it. So why should I let it affect the rest of my day when they literally put no other thought into that comment?
Yeah. It's so funny because on Wednesday I had a therapy appointment and my therapist asked me this exact same question because I was talking about a comment in my not on social media, a comment that someone I know said to me
Mm.
that I was so upset about. Which I can talk more about on the podcast. I didn't want to do it on air, but like, so we're getting into this and I'm crying about it. And then she's like, I have always been curious because obviously she knows what I do. She's like, how do you respond? How do you feel? What is your reaction when someone says something mean or rude or, aggressive towards you, either on you guys' social media or they call? And I think she just as a human as a curious human was like, you're a radio personality. Don't people say like mean shit to you sometimes?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, surprisingly, and
Knock on wood.
this continues to blow my mind. I mean, for years that has blown my mind. We don't get that much hate.
Right.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, let's see.
But we don't. And I think it's just because of the way we conduct our show. I think it's because we are just willing to have an open, honest conversation with you because we do feel like it's a big family and none of us is like combative like other radio hosts might be. Like we can say some lightning rod shit, but we're not ever going to be like, I'm right and you're wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that's where some of it comes from. But it's not to say that we don't ever get bad comments. So I was like, we don't get them too often, but when we do, it does hurt because it sticks with me. You could get 50 great comments and one negative one, and you're only going to focus on the negative one. That's
Yes.
human nature. That goes for
Mhm.
anybody. So will I dwell on it? Yes. And I'll get myself all huffy about it. But especially because I don't know the person, I have an easier time being like, they are probably an angry human as it is. And like this may have been a personal trigger on their end. And I can like create a story almost in my head about what led this person to making this really rude comment.
Yeah.
And then I just write it off. I'm able to let that go. It's a lot more difficult for me if I know the person.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's so anyway, that's the point.
No, it's true. I mean, I remember an email that we may have talked about on the podcast maybe a year or two ago that Bossman Will got where this gay man was just raking me through the coals.
That's right. Yeah.
And the only thing that pissed me off about it is the fact that he sent it to Will, because I'm like, clearly your intention sending an email to my boss is to get me in trouble.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've met you in person several times. And so
Oh,
that annoyed me.
Oh, yeah, I would be pissed.
Because I was like, I've spent time talking to you at events and entertaining and in chatting, and then you're gonna go send a email to my boss.
Right. In hopes of what? To
Right.
get you
Yeah.
fired?
Right.
To get you a reprimand? Like,
Right.
what was the point of that?
And usually the emails that I've gotten from people in the past that were like rude, it's usually a gay person that doesn't like how they think I should represent gay people, or they don't
Oh.
like my views on something.
Like, it's a broad thing.
Right. And I always respond back with, I'm sorry, that's my opinion. And I always say, I don't speak for every gay person. I don't speak for every black person. I especially don't speak for every man. I'm just coming from my point of view, from my experience in my life.
Yeah.
And I always preface it with that. And you will never meet a person that represents you 100%.
But I think that's the problem, actually, is that we are so divided right now in this country that when we do find someone that we think we align with,
Oh.
that gets the problem started, because
Right.
you put that person on a pedestal. You
Mhm.
treat
Right.
that person as if they are an extension of you. So if they do or say or post something that would be in opposition of what you would do, it's like a personal attack.
Mhm.
Like, I had a woman, this was a long time ago. I said something about like the number of kids or something, like how many kids, and I don't remember what it was. This was a while ago. And she felt so personally attacked. She's like, I thought I knew you, and how dare you say something about all these kids that I have? And I was like, I wasn't saying it like first of all, this is only my thought, and I'm not like calling people names or something. It's just my opinion. And I'm not coming for you. And like, even if we were besties and I actually knew who you were and like we were legit friends in real life,
Right.
we're gonna disagree about some shit.
And
Right.
it's okay. You don't have to
Right.
attack the person that disagrees
But
with
in
you.
the world of social media and like quote unquote celebrity, it's like I'll ride with you until shit goes sideways. You say one thing and now you know what, you're done.
Right.
It's a weird place we live in.
And that's why I find it funny, just not going like all the way into politics, but like I've had a few conservative people that, we'll go back and forth about a certain thing, because I'm very much liberal if you're new to the podcast. And they'll be like, oh, so what do you think about Joe Biden when he did this? And I'm like, I disagree with him. Like, I think that everything that he would ever do, I didn't agree with everything Obama did. I don't agree with everything that every liberal does. Like,
And
that's
like, I'm not wearing like all liberal things are awesome.
right. I'm like, no, they fucked that situation up and they need to fix it. And that's not what they campaigned on. And that's not the promise they made. And they're not living up to that promise. Like, that's the whole process of politics,
Yeah.
is keeping people accountable and not saying and taking everything they say for gospel. And that should be
Just
with
because
anything.
they're on your side.
Right. That should be what you hear us say, what you hear a politician, what you hear a celebrity say. Like when there was especially during the social justice, when we were going through after George Floyd, and I had posted a meme and it was sort of comparing two different scenarios of basically saying how, like, if a white person did it, they get off. And if a black person did it, they get like the max sentence. And this lady messaged me and said, hey, Miguel, like, I'm not trying to be offensive, but I really think that's like apples and oranges. Like, that meme is misrepresenting what happened. And I was like, and I always say, well, let me go do my research. And so I went and I thought I had done enough research. But then when I really dug a little bit more, they were right. And I said, hey, you know what? I'm never going to sit here and be like, I know all the time. And I spend countless hours before I post every meme on my social media. I try to do a quick Google search and read and understand it before I post. And I said, you're right. So I took it down. And I'm like, I'm not going to sit here in trenches and be like, I am right all the time.
Stand by.
Right.
Yeah.
If you do your research and you try to understand, where you're coming from, hey, question us. Don't ever take anyone or anything
Yes.
at their gospel all the time.
No. It's a good point.
We're all just human and
Right.
flawed. And so it's like, okay.
I know.
That's one of the good things and that I took away from the religion I grew up in as a Seventh-day Adventist, is that they used to always say, do your research. Don't ever let the preacher just sit up there and talk at you for 45 minutes and then you
Take it
say,
as is.
all right, I got what I needed. They would say, all the preachers would be like, all right, here's a scripture, here's a scripture, here's a scripture. Do your own research, do your own reading afterwards, and truly understand what I'm saying to you, and just don't go by what we're saying up on the pulpit.
So what would happen if someone did the research and then was like, I don't agree with what you're saying?
I don't know. It never happens. I don't know.
I almost feel like saying that seems almost like a trap where it's like, do
Right.
the
Go
research.
ahead,
And then like
bitch.
you got questions and then they're like, well, this says this. And then I don't see how that ends. Cause that's how it was growing up Catholic. Like, I don't think they ever said like, do your own research, but they always, they encourage you to go learn on your off time, whatever.
Right.
But I just feel
Like, Wiz may be like, so you know how you were talking about gays up on the pulpit?
yeah. I'm like, what
It doesn't
is-
really say.
It doesn't say anything about that.
What?
I think it's,
How-
it was
what do
actually
we-
misinterpreted back in the.
like, what do you?
Do you have a?
How do we handle
How
this
to read
situation?
this? I don't know. That's,
I don't know,
if
that-
let's not even do that. That's
Well,
a
that
good
would be
idea.
interesting, though. I mean, it's actually speaking on that, and I was gonna bring this up either on the show or on the podcast. At my grandmother's funeral, one of my favorite pastors from back in the day was there, Pastor Howard, and we did this thing every summer called camp meeting, and he was always like the pastor that would like throw in pop culture references
Oh,
for
the
the young
cool
kids.
ones.
Yeah.
Oh.
He was always like that. Like, Mitch could have been a comedian. Like, even at the funeral, he spoke and like had some funny lines. And I was like, God, Pastor Howard still making him laugh all these years later.
Yeah.
But I just remember he'd be on, and I don't even remember the context, but he'd be like, and like Snoop Dogg. And then all his kids be like, ah!
Like you feel so cool that you got validated.
Yes. And my
Yeah.
grandma would be like, what's a Snoop Dogg? Well, I don't understand. But we
Yeah.
were
Had a
like,
poodle.
we got you, Pastor Howard. We got you.
hmm
But after my grandmother's funeral, we were outside and I hadn't seen him, oh my gosh, probably since 2003. So almost close to 20 years.
hmm
And he was
Jeez.
like, oh my God, let me get your number. I'd love to catch up with you and like see where you are in life. And I was like,
You're like,
I'm in a whole different place than where I was when I was 17, girl. Woo, there's my white fiance. That's a man behind me, but that's fine. But-
is it worse that he's white or a man?
Girl, both. I grew up in a very black church. So I actually was really hoping that he would reach out. Because we had to like go to the gravesite. So I was really wanting, because I would love that, because I feel like he would give me an honest opinion about, like, from a church standpoint, where are we a Seventh-day Adventist?
Yeah,
With
that's a
this.
good question. I'd be curious.
And I feel like he would give me like I agree, I disagree with where the church stance is, or this is where I am with it. I was really hoping that he would reach out, and I still hope to this day that he does. Because I feel like he would level with me and be like, well, hey, here's what I think, here's what I'm not. So I'm hoping one day he does.
Mm.
So anyway,
Fingers crossed on that one. I don't
Yeah.
know where we started.
we literally got here from the email
The
from
message.
Yeah.
Oh,
So thank you,
Thanks,
Jen, for
Yes.
your message.
thanks for providing 23 minutes of content.
I love it.
Is this something you want to talk about?
No, we gotta go. I gotta
Oh.
get my stuff together.
Get it together.
So I'm Abe, my fiance, is coming into town. He's been in Buffalo all month working, and he's coming in today. And then literally I'm picking up from the airport, and then we're driving down to the Keys for our friend who I think she's been on the podcast a couple times early on, St. Pete Sam, who used to be on Hot 101.5, but now she's like the face of 97X, our sister station.
Mhm.
She's getting married.
Yes, I'm so excited for her.
So excited.
Man, she's just one of my favorite people. I'm not going to the wedding because it was just an invite for me, which is fine, but it was too difficult for me to try to figure out just getting myself all the way down there.
Right.
It's just too much. So I'm just sending a gift. And I hope that they have a beautiful wedding. I'm so pumped.
I think what's one of the cool things, as I was like, on her wedding website last night, and just sort of getting my clothes together and Abe's clothes together, is just thinking about how this is going to sound like such a stupid thing, but like so much life happens when you know a person for like, it's been 6 years. And like, when I think about when we met, when I first met Sam 6 years ago, it was the weekend, or no, it was 2 weeks before we started. I had just moved here. And Hot 101.5 had an event at Janice Live, and there was like nobody there,
course.
and they were all embarrassed because we
Yeah.
were like the new morning show. And Sam was like the first person I met, and she was like, and I just remember she had these long hair, beautiful eyes, and she had like a Bud Light in her hand, and she was just like, "Hey, I'm Sam," and she was just so sweet and cute, but just very like unsure of herself because she had still kind of just started in the business and didn't know
She's doing weekends
doing
on
weekends.
Hot.
Gosh.
And then like in the 6 years of life, she has totally transformed into this powerhouse of a personality
Yeah.
who like is a music director, who is the face of a whole
An
ass
entire
radio
station.
station.
Like she's over here interviewing like every alternative band.
Right. Like when they put on Next Big Thing, the Backyard Barbecue, and she's just going from interview to interview to interview.
She
and
won a Gracie Award.
right. And I remember when she
Yeah.
first started, she used to be like, how do I interview someone? You know?
Yes.
And like going from her last relationship that she was just broken, just devastated. And then her
Yes.
picking herself up and like finding this new guy. And then her being like, I like this guy, but is it too soon? I don't want to like, I like him, but I don't want to act like I do. And then now just to see it, I just had all
now
those
they get
thoughts
married.
last night. And I was just like, I am just so happy for this woman.
Me too.
But it's so amazing how much life can happen in just 6 years. So
You-
amazing.
you don't notice the day to day,
Right.
right? Like you notice it all of a sudden 6 years later. But that's how it is with kids too. Because
Mm.
I don't feel like we've been here for 6 years. It doesn't feel like 6 years
No.
we've been here.
No.
But I also have to think, I have an 8-year-old
Yeah.
Mm.
right now. And when we started this job, she was a year and a half.
Wow.
What?
That's crazy.
It's especially when you think about like I had a baby
Mhm.
and now I have like a cool little kid.
Right.
It's a lot.
I mean, when I see pictures from Maya when we first started, like, and she was just this tiny little thing. And I remember we had did a charity dive into the Jello. Take
Yeah,
the
that was one of
plunge.
the first things we did.
Yeah, and I remember like she'd like put her little hands on my beard, and we were like, "Oh, look, she likes Uncle Miguel's beard." And
Yeah.
now she's like a whole ass woman.
Yeah.
Like,
She's
what
a whole ass person with a personality and questions.
the-
And
wow.
like just growing as a parent has been one thing, but like watching her grow, she's definitely, I suspected it in the summer, but she's definitely morphed into the newest version of herself,
Mm,
which I just love.
Mhm.
She's so smart and like
Mm.
funny. And I like comes up with stuff that I'm like, girl, what did you say? Like she says the craziest stuff. Like that's just intelligent. I don't know.
mm. I love that.
Good. We
And
have
look-
her. We have her on the podcast next.
And seriously, no, we should. Because Scott was just, 6 years old when we moved here in 2015. And
You're
Look.
pushing it, B.
now he's a whole ass man.
He's a whole ass man.
6 years old. Yeah, I was starting freshman year over at USF. I was walking in. I guess when y'all got here, 2015?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started my summer over there and getting wild. Summer B, USF. Ah, good times.
That's amazing. I love it. Well, look at that, going down memory lane. Scott, what's your social media so people can see the transformation and compare your girlfriend to your last girlfriend?
Oh, Lord.
Great.
I do still, whatever. At Scott Tavlin, SCOTTAVLIN.
Holly O'Connor.
Radio Holly on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.
Mine is Miguel Fuller, MiguelFuller. And you can find our podcast anywhere, obviously, if you're listening to it. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio app, Google Play, all the places. Make sure to leave us a review. We would really appreciate it. And I'm finally almost out. We got about 15 more stickers.
Only 15.
This is it. I'm not
That means
buying
there's
anymore.
only like 6 people getting stickers because you don't just send one.
Yeah, I usually send 3 to people. So
Oh, there's like 5 people getting stickers. That's it.
Miguel at hot1015tampabay.com. And obviously, don't forget, tickets are on sale for Miguel and Holly Live, hot1015tampabay.com or the Hot 1015 app. And they're just $29. We'll see you next week.